of the things that we talk about, that we want to have a balanced life, we want to find our purpose, our Ikigai. So all of these things are very, very interesting to us. So when I saw this post, and to tell you the truth, he had written about his relationship with his wife, and it caught my eye on LinkedIn. It was such a sweet post. And then I saw, oh, he's also an Ikigai coach, and his such a lovely note. And that is how I connected to them. And I'm so glad that we're able to do this session. So today we're going to talk about what is the secret to a balanced life. And I want to ask all of you all that I know we've all heard this purpose, we've heard the word Ikigai, but what does it really mean to you? And what can we all learn from the Japanese, especially the Japanese philosophy of Ikigai, when we think the Indian philosophy itself is so rich also? And can it teach us something about learning to live a more balanced, fulfilling, passionate, and a purposeless life? So I think Divas and Sukhleen, a lot of people know them. Their community is growing like wildfire. They've got 7 lakh members on social media. They're taking the internet by storm. They've done 200 plus webinars, 10,000 hours of learning, and they've trained over 50,000 people. They're on a mission to help 1 million people live a purposeful life. So hopefully we're helping them a little bit inch to that goal. Their clients include IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, lots of IIMs, and they've got a full roster of corporate clients. Sukhleen is a management professional from IIM. Now you'll have to pronounce it for me because I always get this one wrong. So Sukhleen, help me, because I'm going to say IIM-K, with 10 years of experience working with 500 companies, Fortune 500s, and running a multi-million-dollar business. And you can always find her rooting for women empowerment. Divas is India's first Ikigai coach. He's India's youngest career practitioner and a management scholar from IIM. So it's amazing to have these youngsters with us. When we see them, definitely the gray in our hair starts to show. But I'm going to ask them, because this is a very interesting question, and we'll start with you, Sukhleen, because what is your philosophy and your philosophy of life that led you to create this business, which is actually also has the word Ikigai in it? So I won't steal your thunder, and I'll let you answer that.
Okay, thank you, Sukriti. So I have follow very interesting philosophy in the business also. I would always be found saying, if someone asks me for anything, that can we do this thing? Can we do this thing? And the word that I have is let's try. So something or the other, I would say that I take life as a lottery. I won't say literally buying tickets for that. However, I would say trying new things and trying new experiences is something that I solely believe in. I somehow can relate it to my journey, where I have been trying a lot of things. And I feel when you try things, you buy tickets, lottery tickets for yourself. Not every ticket would give you some cash, give you some bonus or anything. However, somewhere or the other, you will hit a jackpot. You try so many things, you experience a lot, maybe you travel, you meet so many people, you try everything. And somewhere or the other, you would realize that, okay, this is something. And maybe somewhere you meet someone, somewhere you make friends who can be your lifetime buddies. And that's where you hit the jackpot. So that's my philosophy. And in this overall philosophy of living my life like a lottery, I have realized 2 things. A is I tend to realize that we all are so similar, however different. I mean, everyone, if I talk about myself, if I compare myself with my siblings, we all have been raised in the same environment. All 3 of us, we are 3 siblings, same conditioning, same environment, yet we all 3 of us are so different. I was recollecting and just speaking with my mother a few days back, that I was recalling an instance from my childhood where my mother came and asked all 3 of us, what would you like to have dinner? What should I cook? Should I cook, let's say she gave us 3 options. I remember Rajma rice, South Indian or Chinese. And all 3 of us said 3 different things. We never said
Sounds familiar at every home.
Right. So that made me question something, that why is it that we are so different? We had the same environment, same parenting, same conditioning, yet we made different choices in life as well. And So somewhere or the other, I remember I have been doing a lot of things. I have been quoted by people that you're very rigid, you're very aggressive. Somehow I feel in the business world it helps me a lot. However, when I went and understood myself, I assessed myself. Self-awareness is a term which is quite loosely used these days. However, if you know yourself, you can make the best out of it. I know when I can be aggressive in the business and it can play in my favor. I know when I don't have to be rigid. So somewhere in a situation where I don't have to be rigid, I hand it over to my team members where I feel that it can negatively or backfire on us. So somewhere or the other, knowing ourselves is one key component which helped me when I took life as a lottery. Secondly, I would say it helped me love myself more. In our, to my personal opinion, few years back was something like, if I have made mistake, I would feel guilty about it. You won't believe, Sukriti, that receiving gifts is something that I could not do in my life ever till last year. If someone used to gift me something, I used to feel guilty that why the person is doing something for me. I can shower gifts to people, but I cannot take it. And I just wondered and I just thought and gave it a thought that why is it happening? I remember a painful period some 8 years back, 2014. I was diagnosed with a severe lung infection and I was staying alone at that time in a rented flat. And I remember that one week, I was not able to get up from my bed. And I was like so rigid in that time that I would do things by myself. I'll not ask for help. And in that one week, I was not able to get up from my bed. I was feeling so weak, but I drove my car, got medicines for myself, cooked for myself, and when I look back today, I realize that it being too much independent is actually a sign of trauma, because you don't want people to do things for you because maybe you have been hurt a lot. And when I realized this thing again as a part of self-awareness, I realized that I'm doing more harm to myself by not allowing people to maybe care for me, love me. And that's where I believe that this lottery system helped me. When I changed my perspective of looking at life like a lottery, now I try things. Now I feel open, like give me gifts, something like love me. So somewhere we confuse self-love with being selfish in this era,
especially for women. I think you've taken a lot of the terms guilty, self-love, doing anything for ourselves. This all puts this burden that, we should be these super women, whether we are sick or ill, and I can take care of myself. But do you see this issue that you're faced by a lot of other women? And how do you balance life?
Sukriti, if I ask you, how do you imagine a perfect work-life balance? Answer me. How do you look at your life?
I was raised in the traditional viewpoint. So for me, work-life balance meant you go to work at 9, come home at 5, and you shut your laptop and you're with your family for dinner and on weekends. That for me is what is drilled into my head as work-life balance.
Exactly. And most of the people, even imagine if I ask someone that, what do you answer by saying that, what is a typical work-life balance for you? They would say that we come from work early, we spend time with friends and family, and that's a typical perfect work-life balance for us. But we have to understand and accept that there is nothing called as perfect work-life balance. It is not possible. Being in like running a company, it's very difficult for me to have this perfect lifestyle. I can't ask my
But first of all, congratulations on making this company such a big success.
Thank you so much. I see, coming to that point, I can't expect my clients to not message me or email me in the night, and I have to adhere to that. So accepting this thing that there is nothing called as a perfect work-life balance is something that has helped me balance my life. What I do is I work more on certain days and I rest more on certain days. It's something like that. Today, if I'm working from 9 to 9 and not from 9 to 5, then tomorrow maybe I sleep for a longer time till afternoon. So that's how I have balanced life. Or maybe if I have been working for 10 days continuously at a stretch because of some work commitments, then I would take a 1 day off or 2 day off and go on a vacation, or maybe rest at my home for the entire day with no work. That's how I have balanced it. And I've accepted it that my life would revolve around this.
Fantastic. Now turning over to you, Divas. Why Ikigai? I mean, we've heard this word, and so tell us about it. And what does it mean to be India's first Ikigai coach? And then I'm going to turn this. I know everybody is getting very impatient. I'm going to turn it over to you after that.
I was loving this conversation so far. I was like, wow, some interesting perspectives out here. Sukhleen, Ikigai, the word in itself, when you pronounce it, there's a smile on your face. The Ikigai, you have to literally
pulling your cheeks.
And that brings a smile on your face. It was a life-saving tool for me. It was years back, even before we heard of this book, which became viral in the last few years. Long before that, I came across this term, like reading about philosophies of life, right from the era of maybe we had like Plato, we had nihilism, we had theism, we had from Chinese side. So we have a lot of like philosophies across the world. And somewhere I was able to resonate with the philosophy that was offered by the Japanese. And it gave me clarity. So when you say that why Ikigai, it gives me clarity. It gives me to live by integrity. It gives me permission to live by my values. It gives me permission to lead life with more clarity. And that is one major reason why I'm a strong supporter of Ikigai, which kind of like simplifies the entire concept. I mean, we do have variations of it across all the philosophies. The French would say this is raison d'être, the reason for existence. In India, we will have our own philosophies, and every philosophy is like deep enough, enriched enough. However, the way those four circles have been drawn for the world to look at, that somewhere simplifies it and also brings in a capitalistic perspective, which is not true to the Japanese philosophy at the core. What we see on the diagram or what we see on the book, that is more of a Western concept of Ikigai, whereby there is the profit also, which is quite practical, keeping in mind that if you have to sustain, if you have to take your life ahead, then passion alone won't take you along, like miles ahead. The moment you map it to the profitability as well, or making like some money out of it, that is where you would be able to take your so-called love for the work ahead. Else, when we go to any of the college, we see some of the like dancers and singers, and they are super cool. When they're on stage, they are super amazing. But that hobby dies in the college, or would die a painful death after a few years. You may die, you may go for some shows after your college, or reunite, or do some dances on your like friend's birthday party. That's it, right? And then eventually it becomes that, yeah, over the weekends I do play guitar. Yeah, once in a while when we meet, we do play guitar. That's how your hobby, which could have been your true calling, dies a painful death. That is where if you can bring in a balance in terms of the passion, mission, profession, vocation, it hits that sweet spot, which makes you really happy from within. So as Sukhleen was mentioning, knowing thyself, that's so true. It is not about that it is a cool factor. Today, everyone says, oh, know yourself. And if someone feels, oh, yeah, if I don't know myself, I'm missing on something really big. They have this fear of missing out. I just feel that knowing yourself makes you or gives you that peace with yourself, that I know who I am. I know where I come from. I know what I want to do. I know what I don't want. And that is superpower. When you know that what you don't want and you know what you want, that is superpower. Else, we are just affected or distracted by what we see around. I mean, it's a word called as escapism. if any of the viewer is from the corporate world or like clocks in a 5 day like schedule with a like 9 to 6 job, you relate with this that Friday evenings are for party. It's Friday.
Yeah. Thank God it's Friday.
However, I have a different perspective. It's good to party. It's good to enjoy. Then if it is just to escape from yourself and then feel like worried for the Monday blues, then we are not on the right track. I observed this when I was in my early 20s. I read this concept called as midlife crisis, and I was like, what is this all?
You just read it. We are facing it.
Even I am in my, okay, how do you define mid-30 or like a midlife?
Midlife. Now we're going to live till 95.
Ah,
So midlife is now 45, 50.
I thought that I'm gonna live till like 65 or like 70. So I have reached my midlife as per that analogy. Okay. So well, thank you, Sukriti. I mean, you will make me live longer. So keeping that hope in mind, I read about this midlife crisis, and then I observed my like siblings who were quite elder to me, and then people around me who were in that mid-30s bracket. And I was like, hey, are you happy? They're like, yeah. I'm like, but you don't look like happy. They're like, what do you mean by this? We are happy. And they have to prove that, you know what, we are happy. And I realize that many of us try to prove that we are happy by having those Instagram selfies over the weekends. And you know what, hashtag my life, my rules. It's good if it is genuinely, like true for you. But if it is just to prove it to the world, then it will not be sustainable.
Let's take a poll from the audience. How many people will write that hashtag I am happy? Would love to know that how many people actually feel that. And secondly, what is their definition of midlife? Because I'm going to challenge you on this one and I hand it back to you.
Absolutely.
35 cannot be midlife now.
No, I thought, like 12 years back. But now certainly meeting amazing people like you, Sukhiti, I mean, we would certainly live longer for sure. I mean, if we have more like conversations, then interestingly, we will live a longer life.
I'm sure people vouching in the age of 25 also that we are also going through midlife crisis.
The world is changing, man. Seriously, it like makes you feel that, oh, what is left in life? Now everything is done. Initially, we had fine demarcations going by the Indian like, philosophy, where the first 25, the next 25, the next 25, and the last 25. Now, talking about purpose before 25 is the new cool. And like, that's also cool, right? Maslow's pyramid was like designed in this fashion, where you start from the bottom of the pyramid and then you reach the self-actualization. Today, we have the privilege. That's why I would say that there is an economical perspective also, where there is a capitalist perspective also, where today we are able to, or some of us are fortunate. Yes, some of us are fortunate that our parents or the previous generation took care of our needs, the basic needs as per the Maslow's pyramid. That's why many of us can think about, hey, what's my purpose? What's my true calling? As we're having this conversation over here and people are listening to us, there are people who are fighting for their daily bread and they cannot think about their purpose. They're like, how do I meet my daily needs? So it is a privilege. It is a privilege which one should value. That if you have this ability, if you have this opportunity to think about yourself, that yes, I can fulfill my dreams, I can live my purpose, that's a privilege. So Sukirti, what do you say? What do people say about your poll?
Yeah, no, we are not getting some answers. So I will request people who would love to hear from them. I think they're right now in a listening mode. We have to get them into a talking mode.
Saurabh, what do you say? I mean, when would you die? Or when do you plan to die?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Like I said, I woke up one day in a really, and this is truthful, when the realization came to be that, look, lifespans are becoming longer, right? And we are going to live till 95, 100, given what technology and everything else is out there, which is all great. Everything is fantastic. But because of the time zones in which we were programmed, which is that we planned that, okay, we would retire at 65, die by 75, 80, and your whole financial planning, your purpose, everything. And that was actually the big shock to me. And then I said, you know what, at 50, if it is really midlife right now, what is it that I want to do for the next 50 years of my life? Cannot be the same thing that I've been doing, because that's been there, done that. So that was really the awakening for me, and saying, okay, you know what? I really need to think, how will I lead now a purposeful life? What is it that I want to do, and make my life interesting till I am 1995. So maybe I'm a optimistic thinker.
That's interesting. The fight over here is not to say that, okay, who would live longer. It's about who would live happier.
Yes.
Even if you live for 90 years or more than 100 years, and if you are like not happy with yourself, oh God, such a tough place to be at. So I would say that whatever you live, be happy. There's an interesting movie, if anyone wants to watch that, this is on Hotstar, by the name of Soul, Soul. Love that. Whatever we're talking about, Ikigai, life, purpose, we had a lot of clarity, that too in a very visual manner. And that gave me a lot of perspectives as well. Yeah, whatever we're thinking around Ikigai, they have mapped it beautifully. So that's one such movie which one should watch around life, around purpose, around Ikigai.
Now tell us, what does it mean to be India's first Ikigai course? And then we are going to actually take your tips on how we can find our purpose, find ourselves, and move really much more deeper into that conversation.
A lot of responsibility when you use those words that, you are India's first Ikigai coach. So tell us what we should be doing with our life.
Exactly.
You know what? I'm a poor soul figuring out my life, and whatever I've been able to figure out in my life, I was never that clear, like Sukriti. Like today, people might say, "Oh, Devas," they would seek my advice. Devas, what should we do this? Do about my life and all. And I was like, I was never this guy who had plans to become a coach. Someone who could not even speak his name in his entire life, being a stutterer, to becoming a public speaking coach, someone who was really confused. My friends, if you would speak with them, they will say, yeah, they was damn confused about what he was doing in his life, chose engineering plus MBA as a regular option, which every prospective mother-in-law would look for. I had those ingredients. So technically, it was not a eureka thing that, oh God, this guy was born intelligent or had that kind of almighty blessing. I was figuring it out. And the beauty is that, yes, I feel as of now, I have figured it out. So when I realized that, yes, I've been able to chalk out a path, and this is working for a lot of the people around me. And when I got the validation, because sometimes if I say, you know what, I figured it out. And if it does not work with people, then you doubt that whether it actually works or it's just your fantasy. Then when I saw that, yes, it works, then I started doing the sessions, helped people, and that gave clarity. And people came back and said, yeah, Devash, this was insightful. I was surprised that people who were in their late 50s working with the best of the best organization, the CXOs, they're reaching out and going for the session. And then in that session, when we go for that immersive experience, I was blown away. People literally went to tears. And then you are made to realize that, hey, he's successful. He has achieved whatever I or someone else would aspire for. This man is successful as per the world. But from the inside, he is broken. One prick and he's gone. And that is where you realize that when we are dressed up in Blackberries, it might look, oh God, this guy is super awesome, super cool. When you are naked, when you are with yourself, that is where you're like, hey, who am I? Am I in sync with myself? That's peace. That's super peace. Fear of being judged. People often say, don't judge, don't judge, don't judge. It is bad, it is bad. People would judge. Right now, all those who are listening to us, watching us, they are judging us, whether we make sense or not, whether we should continue listening to us or not. They are judging us, and it's fine. We have to make sense out of what is happening around us, whether we should spend our time, energy, and focus. Else, they'll move on. Simple. So, accepting yourself, if I accept myself, the way I'm dressed up this evening, the way I have my entire, like no makeup as such, but just the overall presence, if I'm comfortable in my skin, which I was not, I was literally concerned about how am I looking, my dressing, my background, the light, and everything. When you accept your so-called flaws, which have been offered to you by your parents, by your siblings, by your friends, by your school, by your society, by your religion, by your country, and when you've been carrying that baggage with yourself, it becomes a lot heavy. So when you say that, what it takes to be an Ikigai coach, it takes a lot. It's a responsibility. When someone trusts you, that help me figure out. Like, certainly, I don't have that magical wand, which was there in Harry Potter, where say Wingardium Leviosa. Nothing would work on that front. However, when we spend a couple of hours with each other, we figure out a way and then we move ahead. So in electronics, it's a responsibility where you are helping someone figure out what he or she can do. And
so give us a little bit of idea. How do you help people? Because a lot of people are listening. They're very curious. How do people figure out who are they? Because I think, we think we are something, but that really deep going in, how do you do that? Because this is what we struggle with the most.
Absolutely. Okay, let us ask the audience. How many of you have traveled by air? Give us air in the chat section. If you have traveled by air, give us air in the chat section. A lot of air in the chat section. Oh, I'm blowing. I'm like blown away. A lot of air. Nice. So whenever there is an announcement that, dear passenger, your gate has been changed. Have you heard that? It's quite easy, right? You will say, oh, right, I was at gate number 6. Now it's at 24. You will go up to that gate and just wait in that lounge. Yes or no? Quite easy, right? Comparatively. Imagine now traveling by train, and at the platform, there's an announcement. If I use a bit of Hindi, that Yatrigan Kripya Dhyan De. And there's an announcement that now the train would come on this platform, not the one that you were like standing on. And you see, oh God, that platform is on one side of the entire station. There's a footover bridge, there's an underpass bridge. And it's a big challenge. Why is it a big challenge? Let us ask the audience, why is it a big challenge? Why is it a state of panic? Pauline says, that's panic. Why is it a panic situation? Yeah, we need to run. Absolutely. Oh, we have luggage. Fire in the mountain, run, run, run. That is so true. And that happens at the airport also. We can run over there as well. However,
Akriti says it's not organized. Shilpa says fear of missing the train.
The same thing is there for the flight also. The fear of missing the flight can always be there. But then why we are still kind of okay at the airport, not panicked as compared to being at the station? Because that is where we have our baggage. We have those big suitcases that we carry with ourselves. And we're like, how do I carry these 2 bags with myself? Is there anyone around who can help me with this? And at that point of time, there is no one. And you're like, bro, what do we do next? But at the airport, you are traveling light. And that helps you change your path whenever you want to. You're still okay with this. So when you say that, how do you lead a life with purpose and all? We have to shed of the baggage of emotions, baggage of those so-called insecurities, baggage of all those expectations. Might sound very like sage type. मैं साधु बनने के लिए नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, that you just renounce the world. However, making peace with yourself. When I say that insecurities की हमने बात करी, we have all been labeled in some way or the other. Right from the childhood, you would have heard a lot of voices when you were growing up. This platform is there to address the females or the women at large. We know what women go through in this country. They do get to hear a lot many things casually. The humor is casual. The jokes are sexist, casual, chalta hai. However, how it is affecting the lady subconsciously, nobody sees that. If every single day in the family group, if my father keeps on posting those sexist jokes and my mom says, yeah, this is his love. This is his love for me. That's okay. That was their generation. But today it will not work. Today, we cannot pass those jokes as, oh, it's okay. It's love for each other. That is where you stop accepting those labels. You stop accepting those stamps, which the world is there to stamp you every now and then.
But tell us, Divas, how did you do it? Because this is very difficult. This is the part that we say and we talk about and we say, okay, but actually doing it and saying, okay, this label will not impact me. And you've done it very successfully, even with yourself.
Okay. One of the best ways is to be vulnerable in a safe group. Number one, as in, when I say vulnerable, what is your biggest, I should say, weakness or the gray area or that label that you carry with yourself. For me, being a stutterer, being a stammerer, someone who cannot even speak his name properly, was the biggest label that I carried with myself. It was more of an identity for me. And that identity became a reality for me, that I cannot do anything in my life, because if someone cannot even speak his name properly, like, forget about doing anything. Approaching a girl and say, hi, and she says, bye. You realize that what will you do in your life? Thinking about the interviews, about the career, might look, oh, what's a big deal? You can't even just a name, that's it. But when you think about all those things that might happen, I was even doubting whether I'll get married or not. Luckily, Sukhleen said yes. And that's how I got a girl in my life. Else, I had this thought that, kaun haa karega? When you have those thoughts, what do? You find a safe group. People say, be vulnerable. That's a strength. There's a filter to it. Vulnerable in front of people who would understand, not in front of people who will use you or use your so-called vulnerability as an advantage to their purpose. So find a safe community, a safe place where you open up. It would be challenging. You would feel that, hey, I am shedding off my luggage, which I was carrying with myself for so long, thinking that this is my luggage. It was given to you. That was never your luggage. It was given to you by the fellow passengers and they moved on, but you carried their luggage along with yourself. So this is one of the simplest and the first thing that a person should do. Confide in people and say it out. The day you find strength, you realize that this voice was louder in your head than it was in the reality. It was you who felt, oh God, this is such a big thing. Then for the world, it's like, okay, it's okay. We sympathize with you. We empathize with you. This is what you'll get to here. But you realize, hey, I have released myself. I am free now. So when I shared all this on TEDx or Josh or any other platform, before that, I have shared this with a lot of people. When I saw, hey, it was all in my head. That is what gives you peace. That is what gives you strength to move ahead and try things and do things which you're truly meant to do. I mean,
So I understand this. So you're saying until we shed this voice, we cannot actually find our purpose.
You cannot. You
So
have
the first step, this is almost like a precursor, because we all like to talk about Ikigai and saying, okay, let's put those 4 circles. Here's my purpose. But first we have to actually come to this realization that what is it and who are we?
absolutely. There is a lot of dust, lot of dust. If you have to see through things, we have like various like lenses. If you have to see through the lens, then first of all, you have to like clean that lens. And that is what people don't do. They think, okay, we'll like draw 4 circles, enter this and this, done, and paste on the wall. This is my Ikigai. And they say, hey, this is not working. And I'm, yeah, this won't work. You have to first of all like clean the dust or then see through the lens properly. Because unless and until you cannot even like tap into yourself because of those layers and layers and layers of emotion and guilt and what even Sukhleen was talking about, what she went through, all those traumas, all those, we all go through a lot as we are growing up in our childhood, our conditioning, our parenting. We go through a lot. If someone had a sexual abuse, would that guy or girl share with the like parents? Very few would do that. They would just keep it with themselves. That is like one of the examples where there's that layer, there is that baggage which you carry with yourself for your entire life, that hey, the world should not get to know about this. And when you realize that, hey, this was not my mistake, it was given to me by someone else's karma, and you carry that baggage with yourself, and it is such a like a big burden. I mean, ask the people out here in the audience, what do they think? Have they been through something similar where they went through any of these things, maybe any abuse or anything which was like kind of like painful, kind of like traumatic, which they have never shared with the world, but they know it deep within them that yes, there is something which they are carrying with themselves.
Yeah, I would like to add to Divas' point, like feeling guilty about it also. So Zakirti, like there's something called as middle child syndrome. Like if anyone is a middle child, they feel that they are not being listened to. The parents respect the eldest sibling and the youngest was the most loved. And I happen to be a middle child. I have an elder sibling and a younger sibling. And all my childhood, I used to feel that my parents don't love me. My parents don't care for me. They don't listen to me. Why am I here? So I was trying to prove myself to get attention from them. I did not get attention. I felt so. Today, as Divas rightly said, that being vulnerable and sharing it with him. So I remember sharing it with him a long time back, and he was like, do you really think your parents don't love you? And I changed the lens of looking at my parents, and I realized they love me so much, right? Today, when I look back, I laugh at it that what was I thinking all my childhood? And that made me so much. I keep on thinking. I give a very simple analogy to this. It's something like if you are eating junk food, if you're eating a pasta, if you're eating pizza, you feel bad and you keep thinking to yourself, I ate a pizza, I ate a pasta, now I'll put on 2 kgs, now I'll put on 1 kg, I'll gain weight and stuff. You won't believe that eating a pizza won't damage your body. It would damage your body less than what you keep ruminating about it, that I ate it. Similarly, that thought that my parents don't love me, that was damaging me internally and having that baggage in my mind for all those years. And it was nothing. I shared it with them and now I feel it's completely okay. So it's opening up, it's sharing with people. As she said, many of the females go through sexual abuse and they don't have even anyone to share, and they keep it with themselves, and that it inherently impacts the relationship. When they get married, when they get into a relationship, they don't trust people, and that creates a ripple effect and damages a lot of things. We need to open up.
No, it's a very good, because it's a very different approach. Like I said, when you do Ikigai sessions, everybody gets into the philosophy. Nobody gets into the fact of figuring out that, are you ready even to figure out your purpose? And what do you need to do before you take that next step? So, I'm resonating. I would love to hear from the audience that have most of them gone through that cleansing process, or are we thinking, no, it's that magic wand, I'll just wake up one day and I'll say, oh, this is my purpose. So I'd like to ask you, there was probing deeper. So once you've done that, the cleansing, how does it go about? Because I think this philosophy of Ikigai is actually about finding this balance.
It goes with trying out things. A person can have multiple Ikigais. Today, as we connect live, I have an Ikigai based upon what I've figured out till now. As I explore further in the next few days, months, years, I may have another Ikigai, and that's completely okay. I met the author of Ikigai, Francis Miralles. He was addressing and talking about his book. And that is where even he validated that, yes, it is perfectly fine to have the multiple Ikigais. When you say that, what do we do next? I explored. I tried out things. There's an interesting thought.
It comes back to even what Sukhleen said, right? Being the lottery. Keep on trying things and seeing what works.
There was a speech by a professor from Stanford. He was giving a speech on the farewell of the passing out batch and talks about quit early, quit often. And I was in love with that. I watched that talk on YouTube long time back in my 20s. And I was like, this guy makes so much of sense. He says that a lot of the graduates from that premier B school, they came to him after a few years saying that, Professor, we have the best of everything. Certainly, you are sure shot for success as per the world. Someone is heading the Asia Pacific region. Someone is heading this. So you will start from there, not from the bottom of the pyramid. So technically, they have the best of the vacations, best of the cars, house, everything is in place. But when they come back to the professor and say that, you know what, I'm not that happy and sorted. And that is where he talks about quit early and quit often. I was aware that in the next few years, I should be putting in more number of hours, trying out whatever makes sense to me as of now. If it works, great. If it doesn't, move on. That's the reason I spent almost 2 years in Infosys and then I left. I was like, no, it would be injustice to the organization. It is not just about you. It's about the company as well, where you're working. If you're not the right fit, if you're not the right resource, if you're not destined to be an engineer, then just because of the salary that you're getting, that's fair enough. In some cases, you're not doing justice to it, because every day you will drag yourself to the office. You will pretend to spend that, yes, I'm working over here, but deep within you're not happy. And as a result, you'll not be productive and the company suffers. That's how I think today when I run a company. That, yeah, this will impact the business. If I don't have a team that truly resonates with the purpose, then the productivity would go for a toss. So when you realize that it's quit early, quit often, if a person is in his 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s or whatever age group as of now, don't think कि अरे ये तो सिर्फ 20s वालों के लिए होता है, ऐसा नहीं है. If today also you think that, okay, I think I have a penchant towards maybe gardening, maybe cooking, maybe anything, try it out and start small. Some people think that, hey, Divas, YouTubing is cool. Can I do it? Why not? I am 50 plus. Can I do that? It's for youngsters like the Gen Z, and I am not of that age. Try it out. Starting small is the key. People often think that it should be grand, just like the corporate career. You tried something, fair enough. Then it's the next thing, which may be from the scratch, from the basics. That's completely fine. Give yourself that permission. The challenge is we do not give ourselves that permission. And it comes from our childhood. In our childhood, if we have to go to a washroom, ma'am, may I go to washroom? If I have to drink water, ma'am, may I drink water? So we have been taking permission, and that's how we have been conditioned or given those etiquettes and mannerisms. However, today, you have the permission. I have the permission to make mistakes. I have the permission to goof up in this session. I have the permission to stammer again in this session. I have the permission to not make it the best of my best talk. My like next tech talk may not be the best one. That's okay. I'm giving that permission to myself. And that is what gives you peace. When someone is in that hurry, it should be done perfect right away. Else I will not do it. As a result, they will never start. So when you have this pursuit of perfectionism, that is where people don't start. They have their self-image, which they want to defend. Again, it like boils down to the first point where you shed yourself, like shed those like baggages, shed those so-called like image blocks that you have with you, and be naked again. So when you start something new, be naked. Let's start. That should be the approach. So quit early, quit often.
But Divas, I'll ask you, because this fear of failure is very, very real. I mean, more than what stops us is this fear that if I fail, especially now, I am 50 or I am 40, I was in a very successful whatever track. And if I try this and I fail, what then? And what if I don't find my purpose? And what if that is also not my purpose?
Okay. So when I say that be fearless, I'm not asking you to insert your finger in that like plug socket and have that shock of your life. It is not an advertisement of Mountain Dew that you jump from the cliff. It's about a risk. It's about challenging yourself beyond your comfort zone. That is fear. If you ask ourselves that what is fear and what if I fail, we think of those extreme things. Ask yourself, would you be on road? If not, please try. Would you be able to manage your meal, your basic life standards? That's how you invest. That's how I look at it. I'm not asking you to put all your savings into that. Okay, now it's like jackpot, as Sukhleen says, lottery time. No, I am not going to put all my money into something which I think this is super fancy, right? I know that it is hard to earn money. It is hard to start from the scratch when you don't inherit a legacy from the family. When you know that, yes, you have built it from the scratch, you know the value of money. So keeping this in mind, I would take a risk, that too, a calculated one, knowing the repercussions. Majorly, we were discussing this, Sukhleen, remember, a few weeks back about the reversible and the irreversible decisions.
I wanted to add that itself. So we have to understand that all the decisions that we take, we have a fear in our mind that we should not start a business. We have a fear in our mind that we should not start a YouTube. What if this happens? What if this happens? See, we have to understand that there are two types of decision in this entire, whatever we take, they're reversible and irreversible. So some decisions which are irreversible, it's something a life and a death situation where a person maybe commits something wrong. But most of the decisions that we take on a daily life basis in our life are reversible. If I'm investing money somewhere, what worst can happen? I might lose that money. Obviously, any smart person, as he said, calculated risk, any smart person who has 1,000 rupees would not invest 1,000 rupees to earn. He might invest 500, 400, and what worst can happen? He can lose those 400, but is still left with those 600 or 500 bucks, right? So most of the decisions are reversible. If you, let's say, if you're thinking a lot, should I buy a car or not? Should I invest in a business? Should I start a YouTube channel? What worst would happen? It would not work. That's okay, but at least you tried.
That is the only way to actually figure out what you really are going to do.
Yes, in my perspective, yes. If you try things, that's how I work. If I like try kar lete hain, zyada se zyada kya hoga? Fail ho jayenge. Zyada se zyada kya hoga? Work nahi karega. That's the thing that I keep.
Sukriti, you like spoke about that. I am like 50 and I have a corporate career. Yes. And then if I start something new as of now, what if I fail? Am I right? That was
yes, I said that. Yes. I'm saying this is a big fear that most people have, right?
Let us go a bit deeper. And Sukriti asks, the 8-year-old Sukriti, right? She asked herself that if you fail after 50, you have this fear that what will my colleagues think that, oh, she was super successful. How can she goof up? That's again, we're concerned about those
External.
who won't even matter, who won't even matter. I'm not saying that we don't like care for them. It's just that towards the end, when you go for sleep, it's you. It's you. Every single morning when you go and brush your teeth, you see yourself. And that is something which was a painful thing at one point of time for me, because I was like, I'm not supposed to do this. So when you realize, when you like write on the answers that after 50, if you start something, what are your fears? Number one, that after success, if I try something, it has to match the same level of success. I have raised the bar for myself, so I cannot go like below this. The question is that what you have achieved so far, if you are happy doing, you would have continued. If you want to try something new, then you are giving priority to your happiness. That is paramount. That is paramount. You listen to any person, any sage, any monk, they will talk about it, that how much peace you have within. That will happen. That will happen when it is okay. It's okay if people say, oh, so you are lucky for 50. It was luck that brought you so far. You had the connections, you had the support, you had this. People say that. They're like, yeah, could be, I'm still like figuring it out. And I'm still figuring it out after 50. Let me see what comes next. It's like, again, a jackpot. And you know what? I have made money. I have like bet on like few horses. Oh, there's a power failure out here. Now it's better. And I have bet on like few horses. Some were able to win me the race. Some could not. Now it's time for the like next race. That's fine. So betting is always there. Betting is always there. What's it?
So we're getting a couple of questions. I'll just take them. Dr. Vandana, go ahead. Lot coming in on the perfection, and then I'm going to come back to my question. Go ahead, Dr. Vandana.
Thank you, Sukheti. Very, very good evening, Divas and Sukhleen. Very interesting. And I wish we should have one more session on this, because to find your own Ikigai, it is not so easy. I have 2-3, points. One is that, when we talk about judgmental, now judgmental, I think it is becoming like a part of our culture or work wherever we are going, because it's one reference point. It is like, when we say who's taller, so we are taking one reference, who's taller. So same way, when we are talking being judgmental, we are actually, there is one reference, there is one bar, and we are actually trying to compare. Second thing is, when we are talking about happiness, we tend to be, I shouldn't say that, but, we are not able to find that eternal happiness, because throughout your phase of life, there are peaks also, and then there are dips also. Like Sukirti said, that till 50, now she wants to take another career or whatever. So I think the happiness would have been, if you look back at that 50, but we are not. We are, I don't know why we are not happy with what we have. And as we say, that midlife crisis, anxiety, and, of course, the hormonal changes and everything, it takes over. So the perception also changes. Third thing, we were talking about perfection. Now, I'm not talking about that OCD syndrome. I'm talking about, that we tend to be perfect once, we maybe, if you are sitting in a chair, or you are heading a company, or you are like now, you are conducting or hosting a session, you want that everything should be perfect. Like Divas just now said, oh, the lights went off. So it's like, you would have thought, oh, light kyun chali gayi? So it's a small thing. It's a small thing, but it happens with us. And I or many of us, 59 of us, would like to get out of it and say, okay, leave it. Go ahead. But we are not able to do that. We are holding to all these things. And you said it so nicely. You said, the setup where you are sitting. I think Zoom, actually Zoom, Google Meet has made us so aware. Piche background kya hai, how you are looking, your danglers, your lipstick. I don't know why we have become like this. I think I'm not switching on the camera because I'm sitting in the car. I'm going back home. So, there has to be some way to get rid of it, and it is not an overnight thing. We need to work on this, but
that's what I really like about this session also, Dr. Vandana, is because we're getting to the basics of it, because we've talked about the philosophy of Ikigai.
Correct.
And if people want, I will share all the videos, but we've not gotten to that. Why do we keep coming back and saying, I still don't know what my purpose is, I still don't know what I should
Very true. So give us one step, Divas and Sukhleen, give us one takeaway today, that today you're going to do this before you sleep, and you're going to write a journal or you write a diary. You give us one thing, because it's such an important topic. I think it is for our self-betterment. I feel that.
Vandana, thank you so much for your insights. Loved your little perspectives.
Because I'll answer the third question. Huh? I'll answer third whenever you plan to answer. I'll answer the third one. You can answer the other two.
मुझे याद नहीं आया. First, मैं भूल गया. I was into what Mr. Dr. Vandana was saying. मुझे वो exactly questions say. The sequence I have missed out. The third one I remember about perfect. The first two. Can you please help me?
First one was why do we have we are comparing always, and we tend to get taller and other things, that we often compare things, right?
That is fine. So Dr. Vandana, as I said initially, we would compare. That's for sure. If you are connected with us, even though you're in a car, because we make sense to you. Those who thought that, oh, I know all this, they will drop out. Fair enough. Now, the question is, how do you respond, or how do I respond, or how would Sukirti or Sukhleen would respond to it? I'm okay with it. I accept it. I'm not hey, how can he leave the session in between? I was making so much of sense. He didn't like me.
I was just imparting the most brilliant stuff ever.
This came from the Almighty. It was flowing through me. I am the messenger of God. And I'm yeah, that's okay. So people would judge.
So basically you're saying, even if people are judgmental, it's your approach to it. You have to not be affected by that judgment, because we have to accept that people will be judgmental.
Yes, that's true. When I accept that, yes, I am tall, or if someone is short, was it in that person's hand? If I was born wheatish because my parents are wheatish, I'm not fair because my parents are not fair. So that's fine. If I'm short in height, because the genes, hereditary, a lot of things are there. So why do I say, just because the society says someone who is tall, dark, and handsome is the preferred definition of the accepted male? Yes, there are some industries where it is a standard. For example, if you want to play basketball for the best of the best teams in the world, then you have to have a certain height. Don't feel that, oh, they are judging me based upon my height. How can they be so unfair? It's a requirement for the game, sir. That's it. It is not like we are saying you are bad or you don't stand anywhere. If you are rejected on that day, don't take it personal that, oh, how can they reject me based upon my height? It is a criteria. That's it. Apart from these conditions or these places where be it army or be it other places where there is a criteria, that's fair enough. Accept that. That does not mean that they are judging you. Other aspects, how tall, short, how fat, you have glasses, you have braces, flip it, okay? Flip it. All those who wear glasses, flip it. Feel blessed that you have eyes. That's how I do it. I was stuttering all my life. I felt blessed that at least I have some voice. At least not every word I get stuck on. At least I can share few things. I have seen people who cannot even speak, who don't have that blessing. This is a blessing that we all can share things over here. So when you compare that aspect, you feel privileged. That's why what I said in the starting itself. As we talk over here, there are people fighting for their daily meal. That is a privilege.
Writing these would help, Dr. Vandana, because even I have, for example, in our relationship, Divas doesn't like to travel much and I love to travel. So one day I was disappointed that he doesn't like to travel. What would happen? I just wrote it down, that what are good points of him. As he said, if you journal it, that these are certain points which I have as a blessing, that how much supportive he is, all the things would go in vain. You won't feel that comparing, that somebody does like this. It actually helps.
One more point, one more homework for everyone. I feel like a teacher this evening. That's your homework apart from the classwork. Second is you would that's a beauty of
homework bhul gaye. I love this teacher. Teacher jo homework this is the best teacher that we would have all wanted in school.
Then I forgot.
So this question about perfectionism, Nagendra is also asking it, that sometimes you take pride that doing the best work, and especially he says he's having some background noise. If government employees had perfectionist mindset, all of our lives would have been much better.
Interesting point. I am someone who has been a perfectionist all his life.
That's why I wanted to answer this question. I mean, the people who are saying that it's good to be perfectionist, I completely resonate with it, because I have been living with a person who is a perfectionist. And believe me, that makes you lose a lot of opportunities. There are two ways of looking at perfection. It's good. I'm not saying you should not be a perfectionist. And if perfection is not there, then if car is not perfect, then you might land up in an accident. However, when it comes to doing things, I think it should be we always believe, and what we have learned in our business times is progress over perfection. That is what I believe. I have seen Divas working on a draft, maybe a report, a presentation, and he's waiting to make it perfect, because that is not perfect as per him. And he shows it to us or me sometimes, and he's like, I made this. It was perfect as per him, but for me, it was not perfect. So perfection is actually relative, and we should not strive for it. That's my personal take. And what happens is, if we focus on progress, that's what we have realized. I remember in 2018, I was talking to Divas once, and I told him to start a YouTube channel, and he delayed that process for a long time, that I want a perfect background, I want perfect light and everything. And it delayed till 2019, 1 year. And now when we look back, we feel, what if we started 1 year back? We could have maybe had more followership on other things. But I am not at all a perfectionist. I would confess that. I am like, if 90% of the thing is done, I'm okay with that. If there is a spelling mistake in my report, in my presentation, I'm okay. I would send it. I would rectify it next time. So that's how I take progress, because I feel that if I wait for perfection, I might lose on a lot of opportunities, and most of the people wait for that.
I would like to perspective over here. Someone who asks question happens to be a perfectionist. So I can understand what he or she would be going through when I say that, stop being perfect, right? When I create anything, be it a presentation, be it any draft, anything of that sort, or write any song or anything of that sort, that process is heavenly for me. That is where I'm in my flow state. That is the flow state where time would stood still. I'll be in the best of my best state. I'll be enjoying every moment. And that's important for me. That's important for me to serve. I can take a session every Sunday with my enrolled members and do a formality. but then that does not give me happiness. I am at peace when I create by putting in my heart and soul into it. And that is what I feel my Ikigai is, to create. To create is my Ikigai. To create solutions for people's life, that's my Ikigai. Learning over here, when Sukhleen says that, yes, you lose opportunities. Yes, you lose opportunities. Because when you go that deep into your process, you are blocked. You're not even concerned who is knocking at your door. That's how deep you would go while working on your craft. But then if you have to grab more opportunities, run a bit fast, you have to make peace with it that, yeah, this is good. Next time I'll make it better. For example, my first Roast Talk was just 3 weeks back. And I was like, no, this has to be the best one. And I mean, no. Let me do it. Whatever little I know as of now, whatever time I have with me. One more pointer. Perfectionists think when they go deep in that flow state that I have time and time and time and time. The moment you draw a line that, okay, I have a session at 5 p.m. There'll be a lot of people watching me live. Before that, whatever I can do, I'll do it. That's my best. So you forcefully draw lines for yourself. All people who have perfectionism as a habit, draw a line that, yes, this is it. Beyond this, I will not push this task. Because there'll be no limit. You'll say, let me add one more shade of gray, one more shade of green. Yeah, this looks kind of okay. If I see from this perspective, it is an endless thing. So the moment you draw a line that, okay, that's it. After 5 p.m., no, we are live, done. That is where you will go to the next step. So my next Josh talk will be much better. My next TED talk will be much better. My next stage presence will be much better. Everything will be better. So progress over perfectionism.
You are a work in progress. So don't aim for perfection. Remember that you are a work in progress. Even we are work in progress. Every work of ours is work in progress. And even we are learning.
I know we are running out of time. So I'll just ask you for your closing remarks on how to find balance and find your Ikigai.
Nice. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you go to your washroom to take a bath, you have 2 taps with you, one of cold water, one of hot water. And you find the right mixture. You're a scientist in the morning that, okay, this is the perfect blend. That too in the winters. The same thing for life. Nobody can say that, you need to have 40% of cold water and 60% of hot water. It's like today, I don't feel like taking a bath. Fair, chill. Don't take any bath. No mixture is required. So people have been aspiring to find a balance. Balance is like this. No, it's not like that. Which we have been living by, that balance should be there in life. It's a mixture. Let's replace the word, the right mixture for your life. You have a pizza. We spoke about pizza. So we have a pizza. We have 4 slices. You may divide that entire pizza or map it to your life. If you have the 4 slices, just imagine, okay, everyone out in the audience, the time for starters as it's like 7 p.m. Imagine that you order a pizza and you open the box and there are 4 pieces which are not equally divided. How would you feel?
Something went wrong.
And just imagine if there are 4 friends for a party and there are 4 pieces, 1 pizza, and not equally divided. How would you feel? Or how would everyone feel over here?
I'm feeling hungry by listening to
I know. I think most people would be confused because you don't know how to do and how to give and which one to pick. That's what Dr. Vandana also is saying.
When it is equally divided, you're like, what? Now life is like balanced. Maybe my career, maybe my health, maybe my relationship, maybe something, my hobby. So those 4 aspects could be equally balanced. But the moment you give like priority, you give more fuel to one of the dimensions of your life, one phase, one part of your life would be like bigger in size as compared to the other one. That's for sure. If you see someone super successful in his or her life, then that person has compromised with relationships. That person has given time to his career and not to his family. And he was okay with that. He was okay with that. So finding that kind of mixture that, okay, I am okay with 30% for my life or my hobbies, 60% for my career, 10 and 10 or whatever the percentage be. That's your mixture. That's your mixture, which makes sense to you. So this can be your homework. Yes.
Okay, finally, because there are people asking, teacher, what's the homework for today?
This wasn't in my head previously, but now I'm like, yeah, this is a nice homework. You should all do it. That's how teachers used to do in the class when they were like, oh, you have to give homework. Okay, you will do this. Okay, you will do this.
So Soumya is saying thanks for a wonderful session. But Sukhleen, we'd like to hear your final tip before we end for today.
I mean, I would like, because I can see most of the women in the audience. So I would like to say that give yourself permission right now as a society that we are living in to explore yourself. If I ask this question, like I can imagine my father getting a new car all by himself without even discussing this with my mother and coming home and say, hey, I bought a new car. I can't imagine my mother doing that. I can't even imagine myself doing that as of now, being in the young generation and having a supportive husband. I can't even imagine that. So I feel give yourself permission. Females are struggling because of many discriminations, many biasness. We are uplifting ourselves. But give yourself permission to do it. Stand up for your rights. And that's what I would like to end for all the women out there, that you have the potential to do a lot of things, to explore yourself, to explore your Ikigai, and do that. Give yourself that permission. And you might have to gather a lot of courage to face this world, which we have been living in, but you have it in you and you would be able to do that.
Well, thank you. Thank you both, and wishing you quick success to reach those 1 million people that you will trade.
Thank you so much.
Wishing everyone a very, very good night.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.